This is Heather Dominick, founder and leader of the highly sensitive entrepreneur movement since 2010. An important component of the Business Miracles mentoring programs for HSEs is the 4-track inner-outer curriculum. Track 1, Enrolling and Energy Management. Track 2, Systematizing and Strengths. Track 3, Scaling and Surrender. Track 4, Expanding and Empowerment. Each track consists of an intentionally curated curriculum of core practice trainings that you are to study consistently. Study your track even if your mind says the order doesn't make logical sense or you don't have the time. As you do, you will begin to experience shifts, changes, and opportunities that seem to occur out of the blue. Business miracles. Make studying your CPTs a consistent core practice as well as a resource to return to over and over again. This is how we advance from where we are as HSEs to where we want to be. This is a retraining process. Go beyond what your mind can see, and then bring your insights and asks to our forum, weekly core practice consistency calls, monthly community-wide core practice consistency calls, elite masterminds and or your elite accountability calls and private mentor calls, and of course, our twice-a-year training retreats. We study to master. We study to implement. We study to serve. We study to receive. We study to succeed. Here we go.
So we have the Bowen family dynamic system that, first of all, his theory is that anxiety is always a group. It is not individually experienced, meaning if we literally were like the only person, like this is the planet of Heather, you were on the planet of Nikki, we would all probably be super, super happy, right? What is there to get anxious about? I get to do what I want, when I want. I never have to interact with anyone else, which also means that I don't live and grow. And so I stay in amoeba, and that is how I live out my days. So anxiety comes from being in a group. The first group is our family of origin. That is where we learn how to deal with anxiety unconsciously. For those of us who are highly sensitive, he also talks about that typically there is at least one person in every family who is designated as what he refers to as the absorber. I don't have the actual data because no one's done this research, but I'm going to take a leap of connection and say that most likely the highly sensitive person in the family, if there is one, they are going to be the absorber. Everyone in the family is going to be able to feel it. They're going to be like, she knows how to take this on. So we'll give it to her, all unconsciously, right? So as now adults who are interested in being self-employed to serve other people, we have to train ourselves to no longer automatically and unconsciously absorb the emotions that are given to us. Instead, we have to learn how to allow them to move through us so that they can be transformed. And as a result, when we're experiencing that, we ourselves are also transformed. And the clients that we're working with are transformed. It is a process of emotional maturation. And it is a process, which is why, again, the container is so important, so that you can be with others who are going through this maturation process as well, learning how to do this. What happens when that happens? Well, first of all, we become much better yoga teachers, practitioners, and entrepreneurs. And we change, and then the family dynamic changes. Because when we change, those that we are in relationship with can't help but also change. a lot of the time they're not going to like it because you've been doing a job all these years. You've been holding everything. And now suddenly they're going to be asked to hold their own stuff. And so that could cause friction. That could cause separation. Another reason to stay in the container, to be in this community, to be mentoring with someone who has done this and is doing this. So there's that. The rage. Absolutely. The rage is part of that emotional maturation process. It only makes sense. The minute you become awake, right, as I've been talking about, you become aware. Oh my God, I've been the absorber. I am pissed off. How dare you do this to me? I was just a kid. How could you do this to me? I am so angry. And it is going to come out. The pusher is suddenly going to have to slow down. And when you slow down, then the fear is, oh my God, I'm going to be so overtaken that I'm not going to be able to handle it. Again, community, container. The hider who's been suppressing and suppressing and suppressing and suppressing and just taking on and taking on and taking on and taking on all those years is going to erupt. It's going to erupt. So here's the good news though. As you are consciously in this process of emotional maturation, coming to the place where you can use your highly sensitive skills and talents to be a conduit rather than an absorber, the rage will subside. And you won't erupt for the rest of your life. And you won't pass that on to your children because you're consciously aware of it. And you have a place where other people get you. And you have a coach team who's like, yep, I'm right there. I can support you with this. And a mentor who's like, absolutely supporting the coach team, supporting you. Like, we've got you. Without the awareness, without the container, that's where, yes, then that pattern of eruption will just repeat over and over and over again. But you're not doing that. You're here. That's what it's about, which is another thing. Please let me say this if you don't already know this about me. I would never, ever, ever ask any of you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. So not only have I gone through massively everything it is that I share and I teach, but I've worked with my spiritual teacher and therapist for over 20 years. I've been a part of a group with that therapist for going on 15 years. I've worked with my marketing mentor for my 6th year, finally finding one that was aligned with me. I'm about the long-term work. I don't just sit up here and go, process is the goal, and then go home and be like, oh, they totally bought it, Like, I'm living it, So I know this. I can speak to you. I'm going to be really, really vulnerable. Wow. This is obviously a really V&V moment. I don't have a lot of regrets in my life because I really, truly do believe in evolution from learning. One regret that I do have is that when my husband and I first got together, we were absolutely such a sacred contract, but we were both so wounded. And because of that sacred contract, we worked out our wounds on each other. And it was very difficult in the beginning. And one of the regrets that I have is a conversation that we were having on the streets of New York, and I was totally, massively rageful. And I looked him in the eye and I said, fuck you. And I remember there was, because it's New York, someone walking by and she startled. The stranger startled. And I got in that moment how not okay this was. And I am only just so, so grateful that he stayed. And that's our container. And we're so far from that place now And I'm so, so grateful. But if I had just been like, forget it, I'm out, which I had done so many times before, or if he was like, you're a crazy lunatic, I'm gone, then neither of us would be in the place where we are. So as long as you stay with people who really are willing to see you, and that might just not be your mother, at least not right now, but also maybe never. And that is also part of the emotional maturation, is that you get to a place, as I was talking about yesterday, where you stop trying to insist that your parents give you something that they are not capable of giving. And you learn in a community like this how to give it to yourself. And then in the next life, you get to come back as a butterfly.
Awesome. Well done taking this first important step in studying, whether listening to or reading, this training. Remember, your next step is to implement each part of the transformation assignment that accompanies this training. You will find the assignment in your online learning center along with this recording. Completing each assignment is a key component to shifting from working from your HSE shadows into your HSE strengths. Your study is not truly complete until you take the actions that lead to true and lasting change. Everyone wants transformation, but no one wants to change their ingrained pattern. Yet, that is the fastest way, the only way, which is step by step. This is the universal law of process, which states that we all come to Earth with certain goals we are here to accomplish in our lifetime. These goals are part of the divine plan, and it's our responsibility to complete them. And in order to accomplish a goal, we should become clear about our direction and then prioritize the small steps we will take to get there. So, post in the forum as you complete each part of your assignment, as well as any questions you may have. We are here to serve you and support you step by step. The process is the ultimate goal for each of us HSEs. Other than that, leaving you with many blessings for the rest of the day, week, into the weekend, and until our in-person time together at our next Business Miracles training retreat for HSEs.